there is a pattern, there is codependency. But if you can get a weekend by yourself or with your kids, but you know what I mean, without the other person, you can realize how much you can breathe. And then you can start pondering, what is the next step in the physical realm? What am I going to do? And I chose to jump even though I had nothing. No money, no job. It was in the middle of COVID. So I literally took a leap of faith and I said, universe, I'll do anything, but I know this is not going to work. So I'm just open to whatever at this point.
I'm Riley Rees. This is the Sophia Unfiltered podcast, where we bring together thought leaders, wellness entrepreneurs, makers, and emerging health leaders. We're here to have raw, unfiltered conversations because sharing your stories has the power to change lives, help others heal, and transform the way we take care of ourselves. Here we go. Welcome back to Sophia Unfiltered. I'm Riley Rees, and in today's episode, we're exploring how to align with your soul's purpose and navigate life's significant transitions with Sara Garofalo. Sara is a certified intuitive health and life coach and an energy healer who dedicates her life to guiding individuals back to their true, authentic self. We're thrilled to have you here, Sara, to discuss these profound yet often overlooked aspects of personal growth. Can you start by sharing what inspired you to pursue a path in intuitive health and life coaching, and how this journey really shaped your approach to helping others?
Yeah, thank you, Riley, for having me. I think it was my spiritual awakening journey, or what we call the transition in life that I've gone through. Yes, it pushed me to become this person. Yes.
Yep. We're here to unpack your story and to hear all of the things, because there's so many listeners out there going through transitions and who may need, to hear your story and
Yeah, absolutely.
help them heal.
Yes, I am a healing junkie. I love healing, and I've been studying the healing practices for a very long time, since I was like 15 years old. I would stay home and read books about astral traveling and healing myself.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey then?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's really get focused on like that, my story, which I think that's what the audience can resonate with. Is when my life fell apart. I was already in the States. I'm originally from Italy. And I was married. I had 2 little kids under 3, and I was a stay-at-home mom. So through that process, though, I realized that I was in an emotionally abusive relationship. And at the time, I had no idea what a narcissist was. I had no idea that I was an empath. I had no idea of boundaries, all of that, right? So you wake up and you're like, I didn't see the signs. This is what's going on. And where am I going? What do I do? But what kind of got me to realize that was that my body was breaking down with an autoimmune disorder. So my body just started to shut down.
Wow,
And
that's so scary. I mean, with 2 kids,
yeah,
your hands are full. I mean, so many moms are in our audience that could be listening. I mean, and so many people could already be resonating with this, right? You may not have kids, but you may be dealing with a narcissist. Wow, this is a lot. Like, what were the signs of the narcissistic behavior that you first noticed before your body started giving out?
well, you start noticing by all the fears that you have to deal with every single day. You're walking on eggshell. You're trying to please another being, to make sure that that person stays calm, and you neglect yourself. So I think fear is one of the biggest thing that you can recognize. And you're just like, I'm so scared to do anything. And then you start self-doubting everything. So because the narcissist starts to break down your whole identity, you don't have a sense of self. And so you become codependent. And at the same time, you don't know what you want. And you're even afraid to say what you want.
I mean, and then with 2 kids, I'm a mom myself. I mean, that's already happening in the background when you have children under 2, right? So to have all of this from your kids and taking care of them and then not working to dealing with somebody like this, like, it's a lot.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot. I would say if you're asking me, the moment I realized I had to get out was a very specific moment of I just had my daughter. So it was 24 hours after giving birth.
Oh, wow.
And when I needed help, because obviously you're still bleeding, you're exhausted.
It's a lot.
And I was screamed at, saying that I was needed to go to mental hospital because that person was literally screaming at my face saying, "You're crazy." Um, wasn't helping me, said, "You're literally like need to be hospitalized." And I just had a baby at that moment, and that person wasn't helping me. So, like, I had to still get up to take care of my toddler. I couldn't sleep at night. So I think I have a very connection with spirit since I was a little girl and I heard the words, either you leave or you're gonna die. Like I literally heard it in that moment when I was crying. Right. So that's like the specific moment in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, and all moms, right? I mean, I can't even imagine mom of two being so busy. You're sleep deprived, not getting any help. Like you're gonna be sleep deprived no matter what you're the mom, but that's just not the time to be messing with moms, new moms, right? Like I
Well,
can't even
that's
imagine.
yeah.
But how
I think
strong. You were so strong to get to that point where you're like, I'm gonna because that's just such a sensitive moment where moms like need the most help and support. It takes a village. And then you're like, I'm leaving, I'm getting out. Like to do that it must have taken a lot to get you to that point.
yeah. So the synchronicity was that you realize that you're in the most vulnerable moment of your life
Mhm.
because I had no physical strength. And the person you love the most is literally not doing anything. It's like hurting you even more. Then you start questioning what love is all about. And then synchronistically, like my mom flew from Italy, flew to help me. And my mom has a very tough love, which means that I know why I called her. Like, she's not the mom who will like pamper me. She literally came and she was like, get up. Like, you need to get yourself back together and you can do this, right? That's how they raised me. And I know that it was kind of harsh, but I needed that because she pulled
The
that
strength.
strength.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that moment at the same time. She was helping him and that she was like, I'm here to remind you, you've got to get up and get your life together.
That's amazing. That's so beautiful. And then it was probably nice to have your mom there too to help with the kids. I mean, because your hands are full and you just gave birth.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really nice. I mean, it was really healing also for our relationship. So yeah, I think you kind of pull yourself back together and you realize where you are and where you need to, what you need to do.
Now,
So
you also mentioned that your body was breaking down. So, was it also during pregnancy? I can't even imagine.
yeah, so I had high risk pregnancies. And I was going through some nutrition deficiency due to the fact that I was vegan. At first, it came to down to a personal choice, and then it was imposed to me because it was conditional love. There was a whole background, and I really don't want to get into the specific, but I had to stay vegan. It wasn't a choice anymore. But I was craving meat, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to go to a doctor to get all the blood work and to get answers from science because obviously that person is not listening to what I'm saying. And I did that. I went the doctor route. And even though with blood tests, I did everything to prove my point that my body was starting to break down, that I couldn't function. And then even with the proof in my hand, that person denied what I needed. And I had to pay for it. So I had to ask money from my parents to pay for the doctor. And then that was like my last drop of like, I'm trying so much. I'm getting all the proofs, evidence, and then still you're denying what my body is asking me to do, which was to get some meat in my bones, and to get nutrition. Like, and I have a genetic anemia at the same time. So the symptoms that I was experiencing was fatigue, chronic fatigue, sleep deprivation, obviously. Mood was not regulated. I had episodes of depression.
Which I'm sure all
And
that can happen with just a lack of
right.
the proteins and the right nutrients, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I could feel since I also come from a background of holistic nutrition, that I couldn't get the nutrients. Like I could feel my body was not processing and absorbing. And I just felt, I would say, like so fatigued. I couldn't even walk the kids. Like I would walk them around the neighborhood and I was so tired. And I was like, I've been an athlete all my life, martial art. And I was like, this is not me. So I had that reference to be like, I've played sports all my life and this is not me. And that I was really pale and I was losing my hair so much. So all of that. And obviously my blood lab test came back all dysregulated. And the doctor sat me down and I was like, this is what's going to happen. You're going to develop an autoimmune disorder if you don't change all of this. And then he was kind enough to hint of what was happening at an emotional level. And he said, this is the root cause. You have to make a choice.
Yeah, that's a lot. I can't even imagine. And you were doing all this while pregnant and having a baby. Like, this is just a lot to go through.
Mhm. Yes. I mean, that was the dark moments of my life, you know? We have to hit that dark place, I think.
Yeah.
Now, from an outside perspective, but it did require a lot of strength for anybody who's listening. Like, you have to pull all of it together and be like, I'm gonna give it all to save me and also to give a different future to my kids. I didn't want them to grow up with that example.
Yeah, that's right. It's one thing to do it to yourself. It's another thing to do it to your mom's, like the mama bear is going to come out. That sounds like, you pretty much came out fighting and 24 hours later, you're like, I'm getting this together. Yeah. So how did this really change the course of your life? That 24 hours after you gave birth, you're like, I'm out of here. How did this revelation, this realization, like, how did this really change your life?
It changed my life in the sense that I created a plan. And the plan was, I'm going to try to make this work, but standing up for myself. So you create a plan and you say, I want to live with no regrets. I'm really trying to make it work. And even though with the evidence of the doctor and all of that, it still didn't work. So then I literally took the other plan B, which was like, this can't work anymore. And so then I filed for a divorce. And when I communicated my needs of needing to separate, it got worse. So I got a restraining order for the summer. That was good enough for me to have a break, a mental break.
Hmm. Hmm.
And my parents came for the summer, they helped me out. And then you kind of need to, there is no time to stop at that point. Like I kept thinking, what is my next step? Because I have no job. My parents stepped in a little bit. And I need to figure it out my future. So it was just the moment of like, I'm hyper focused on being a parent and getting myself out from the mess that I created at the same time. Like you take responsibility, was created, obviously, in the process. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing that you had some help and support. And no matter if it's your parents, I mean, you really just need that support, right? Because you're so busy being a mom and you're so focused on that. And now you're trying to figure out your life on top of that and how you're going to support these like beautiful children.
Yeah. It was great to have them there before COVID hit. So this was like 6 months before COVID.
Hmm.
They came for the last time after, and then I had 3 years with no help, because COVID
Right.
blocked completely like Europe and
Mhm.
us from traveling. And it was enough to get me the strength because it's important to come back to your roots at that point. Like there is a lot of strength in what I had to call from my Italian roots of like fighting and being coming fire. So I use a lot of energy, as a spiritual healer to rebirth myself. And I think what saved me the most was the fact that I've always felt like a single mother. So I've always done it alone with the kids.
Oh, okay. So mentally, you were already kind of already in that
I was
place
already
and
there.
alone. Right.
Like there was a financial support, but I knew how to be a single mom. That was not literally hard for me. There was a lot of freedom that came with becoming a real single mom. I was like, then I have the freedom to think, speak, and do what I want. So that was kind of easy for me. It was just the figuring out how to provide the
Yeah.
roof.
So in those, you said when you had the restraining order, you were kind of in like this, it's kind of freeing. Did it kind of free you up mentally to just take a minute? Like for anybody who's out there listening who may be in an abusive relationship or in with an, whether it's mental or physical, what was that like for you? If anybody's out there like, I'm wondering if I should take those steps and do this. How can you just walk our listeners through how freeing that might have been for you?
Yeah, and this is such an important question you're asking. I have this conversation with clients all the time, and I tell them, like, I can't make that decision, but I can only tell you that once you leave,
Hmm.
even if you don't know how that's going to work out, your life is going to be 10 times better because you have yourself. And there was that immediate spiritual, emotional freedom that came like right away. They gave me like a boost of energy because now I could eat, think, do what I wanted. And so I tell people the most important relationship is the relationship with yourself. If you lose yourself, it's done. Like your soul dies. But
Yeah.
if you can fight for that soul that is screaming and don't abandon that, like you immediately receive the energy back. It's such a magical process at the same time.
Yeah, it just gives you extra strength. Yeah. So for any listeners who might be feeling the same sense of like dissatisfaction, right, or loss, like you once did, what would be um, the first step you'd recommend them take on their own journey to like reconnect with themselves?
I would say get enough distance from the situation or the person to understand how that's impacting your well being. It could be a weekend. I had the luck that I was in Italy for 2 weeks with just my kids to understand the difference. So get enough space, um, physical and emotional, to keep you understand the impact that has on you.
It's a really
Then you
great,
can make the choice. Yeah.
right. That's because you're so tied up in that other person potentially that's causing that abuse. Like it's hard to create that distance because you want to go back because that's what you're used to, right?
Yeah. Obviously, there is a pattern, there's codependency, but if you can get a week, a weekend by yourself or with your kids, but you know what I mean, without the other person, you can realize how much you can breathe. And then you can start pondering what is the next step in the physical realm? What am I going to do? And I chose to jump even though I had nothing, no money, no job. It was in the middle of COVID. So I literally took a leap of faith and I said, Universe, I'll do anything, but I know this is not going to work. So I'm just open to whatever at this point.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And a lot of the time, the fear stops that person. So for anybody who's listening, the fear will stop you from doing it. I talk to people all the time. And they're like, I'm so afraid I have nothing.
But it's possible for anybody listening out there. It's possible. So, what did you do when you took that jump? And
I took the jump and I still remember I was like on the front porch of the house and I literally didn't know how I was going to pay the rent. And I was crying. I was literally like, I don't know what to do. And I asked the universe. So obviously, the faith that you put in a higher power needs to be there. And I said, literally, like, I would literally scrape the floors of a house if I have to show you that I'm serious about my journey and reclaiming myself. And 3 days later, a friend called. She was the owner of a gym that got shut down. She's like, I need help with babysitting. All my babysitters are out. I know you have your kids. I know what you're going through. Would you like to help? I said, yes. So you never know what's going to happen. I just know that for the next 2, 3 months,
you're,
I had something, that was coming in and I was grateful.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And it still sounds like you just had that also that fighting spirit. Like, okay, I'm here and I'm going to make this happen. And
That's important. You have to have that because then if you turn down what the universe is giving you, then it's not going to work. I literally said, I'll clean, I'll babysit, I'll do anything to get myself out of there. And when I took that job, which I was with the kids like 8 hours a day for 3 days, I also made a plan
Yeah, what's the next
for
step? Yep,
what's the next step because I
that's
knew
right.
that was temporary.
Yeah, yeah, what's the
And I
next
was
after this?
right. And so you kind of have to get centered and organized. And the next step was I need to create a business online with the expertise. What do I know that I can teach?
This is
That was
incredible.
mhm.
And were all of these little wins and all of these little successes, was it like little victories inside? Like that 3 days later, was it so like did it help you rely a little bit more on
Oh
yourself?
yeah.
You're like, "Okay, I asked the universe, it gave, okay, we can do this." I mean, so it was like all these little wins, like, "Okay, for 3 months, I'm good." And then the next step, you're like, "I'm gonna rely and trust, and it's gonna come through." And when it does, were you just so like, "Okay, this works. I've got this."
Yeah, that definitely was the journey of me building the trust with the universe again. Like I was open and for me it was so rewarding to know that the universe has your back.
Mhm.
Gabby Benson says, like I really felt that. And it was very humbling because when you have nothing and you're at the verge of like living in your car, you get very humble with
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
But I knew that like kind of had to go through that to get at one point tell my stories because I knew I was going to be successful. There was also a point of like, I'm very clever, very intelligent. I was like the type A student, always good grades, black belt in karate. So I knew that I had it in me and I knew I was going to create something and be successful. I just was very humbled by life.
And everybody's got a story and a journey, and you wouldn't be able to be here and share your story, the powerful story with other people if you didn't go through it, right? Everybody
Yeah.
needs some motivation. And I just think that what you're talking about, that trusting on the universe to provide, I think is so important because it's scary, right? Fear could keep people in bad relationships and fear of providing could keep you from leaving. It could keep you from
Mhm.
advancing. Like fear and change are really hard and can keep people stuck, right? And keep them from taking that next step. So it's amazing how you trusted and provided. So it just must have felt really good when it worked out. It must have been like reinforcing that trust muscle.
Yeah, there was the reinforcement. And then I tell people if anybody needs this like motivational quote, like I sat down with my life and I said, if I don't change anything and I let fear win, this is my life. This is
Mhm.
literally
Right?
um nothing is going to change. And do I like this?
Yeah. And it's up to you to
And
decide,
it's up
which
to
is
you.
beautiful.
Or do I jump not knowing how I'm gonna make it, but I know that I can put all of me into this. And I've always believed that, even in school. I was like, if I'm gonna study, I'm gonna get an A. If you put your heart into it and you practice and you put everything in it, you will receive some changes. It's
Yeah.
inevitable.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Sarah, can you explain what it means to align with one's soul's purpose or higher self?
Yeah. So living in your purpose and getting aligned with what your soul is truly meant to be and do is really finding the center and the why of your existence in this world. So, is living a life with passion, is living a life waking up and be like, even though I have lows and highs and lows, I still get up excited because I know this is what I'm meant to be doing. And there are going to be days where you want to throw it all out, and you're frustrated because it might take years for it to work. It wasn't an instant success, my story. It wasn't that after a year was completely healed, but I never gave up
Yeah. You just keep
until
going.
one day it clicked.
How do you help other people identify their soul's purpose, right? Are there like signs or feelings? So if any of our listeners are out there, like, how do I know I'm on the right journey or path? What would you say?
First thing first is your body hurting? So,
Mm.
as a spiritual healer, the body will always speak first. So, for anybody who is having chronic health issues or some health issues, could be acute or chronic. That is the body's telling you that something has to change. And a lot of people get so mad at the body. Why is it gaining weight? Why is it having this chronic issues? When in reality, it's the first alarm saying, you're not listening to me. So we're going to give you a wake up call. If you can receive that and say, this has to shift, then the pain will go away. I promise you that, because I reversed all my health issues within a year. So the body speaks first. And also chronic fatigue. So I had a client that had chronic fatigue. All her lab tests came back normal, but she was in the wrong job. She
Mhm.
wasn't inspired. She wasn't taking into consideration. She felt not good enough. And the moment she said, "I'm done," all her energy came back.
Wow.
So
Wow.
body.
Yeah. It's just kind of like that. It sounds just kind of similar to your path. Like the minute you got out, you're like, okay, like instantly you get that energy back, like out of that bad
Mhm.
situation. Like, you know,
And the body
come
started
back.
working again.
Hmm.
Started
Yeah.
like slowly, but it came back. So.
So I guess if you get your energy back, it's a sign that you might be on the right path.
The chronic fatigue might lift up, the depression might lift up, anxiety could decrease. For me, the last part of like the journey after I got the lab test was that my body stopped having a menstrual cycle for 3 months. So the moment I left and the moment I got my first bone broth,
Hmm.
the next day I had my period. So that was a sign.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Wow. And it just goes to show you how powerful nutrition is. Wow.
mhm,
It can stop your menstrual cycle. That's scary.
yeah.
Well, Sarah, there's also significant life transitions, right? Such as career changes or personal losses that can be really challenging for individuals. How do you support your clients during these kinds of periods in your life?
The most important thing in a self-healing journey, whether you're grieving or there's a change, is to not avoid your emotions. So even though as humans, we're conditioned to think that we have to push through it, my job is to let them feel in a safe environment through subconscious reprogramming, through accessing the body's wisdom, so that you can feel your emotions at a deeper core level and release it from the body. Because if you don't do that, the body will get sick, the emotions will get trapped. And that's the chronic fatigue, the depression we're talking about, right? So if you allow yourself to feel the grief, it will
Hmm.
go away.
Feel the emotions. Yeah.
Feel the emotions. I know it's counterproductive, but if I can't work, I literally take a day off and I just go cry and dance in my living room or in nature because I had to let the energies out of me.
Yeah. Don't be distracted and don't try to block it. Like, actually, just go through it, go through all the
Through it.
feelings. Yeah. Because some of our listeners can be going through breakups, losses, career changes. It's all scary. It's a change. You gotta go through the emotions.
You've got to go through the emotions, and that takes courage. But it's kind of like emptying a bucket. And if the bucket has still water, it becomes stagnant, it becomes a pond. So you've got to empty the bucket so the new feelings can come in. So the
Oh,
new
I love that
excitement can come in.
analogy. It's a
Yeah.
great one. So
Yeah.
you incorporate a lot of energy healing into the practice. So how does this help people release these blockages that prevent people from the inner peace and happiness?
So I use a combination of energy healing, subconscious reprogramming, which is a neuroscience um, base session, that I do, because it helps to remove the blocks. So the blocks are always trapped in the body for anybody who is here to listen. So we find the location of where your emotions are trapped. It's different for everyone. And then from that place, we take them there to express those emotions, to cry it all out, to be angry, to allow themselves to feel. And then with the energy healing, I help them move it out. Sometimes I do also the work for them. I allow for them to do the work because it has to be that way for them to really heal. And then with the energy healing, we clear the blocks that could be generational, ancestral, from this life, and from the aura. So, what energies are affecting their body because they might not know that have absorbed other people's energy. Or there is that lover still connected to their reproductive system. So, we have hooks in our sacral chakra still connected. So, some people are really suffering because they can't move forward. It's because there is an energy that pulls them backwards to that person. So my job as an energy healer is to one hook and free the energy, and people feel it, so that person can't attach themselves to you.
Wow.
And I see that all the time, even with people that have been blocked. Or I had a client that after the divorce with the narcissist, she had a restraining order for 4 years. She hasn't talked to this person, and she still had those hooks. And once we lift those, finally, the whole room went dark. Like we heard a sound, and then she felt it like leaving her body. So she felt free from that energy that was just kind of haunting. So
It's
that's
kind
my
of,
job as energy healer. Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and I get acupuncture a lot, so it's kind of, there's the meridians, there's the energy getting cleared out, but this is, you know, there's a lot of energy movement can be stagnant. So for anybody out there who may be suffering, I think the energy healing is a really important part of healing, the healing journey, right?
It is. And it's also sometimes I clear. So I scan the body as a clairvoyant. I notice where it is. I locate all of the stuck blockages. I clear them, and I channel throughout the session. Sometimes I let them know what's happening. It's not just a silent healing, energy healing session. And and then I explain what is happening, what I see, and also I recharge them because they feel exhausted. And since I work with a lot of, like, it could be leaders, the leaders can be an owner of a business, an entrepreneur, but it could also be a teacher. So people that are helping others. So I recharge them because they may feel like drained.
Yeah, teachers.
So
I think that's a great service you're doing to teachers, right? Look at what, yeah, it's
it could be
incredible.
anything. It could be like spirit entrepreneurs
Hmm.
to CEOs to a teacher. Like there is no,
Everybody can benefit.
yeah,
Who couldn't benefit from being recharged, right? That's like an amazing good night's sleep. Just does wonders.
yeah, they sleep really well.
So, Sarah, you've developed a system to help others reconnect with themselves and reclaim a spiritually balanced lifestyle. Can you walk us through your system?
Yes. So I use three major tool set. Obviously, right now as a spiritual healer, I focus on two, but the first three that I applied on myself is think about a house, and there is a mind, a body, and a soul. The body has to have the foundations, okay, to sustain the work we're doing. Then you go into the emotions, and you have to make sure that you know how to identify, process, and release the emotions. So I teach that. I'm also teaching setting boundaries. Then you go into the spiritual level of, do you know how to protect your energy? And also activate that third eye, the intuition, so that they start to read people and become and trusting themselves. So there is that trusting piece. To reclaim yourself, you have to trust yourself primarily. And to stop second guessing yourself, self doubting yourself. And once you put all of that together, you find that alignment and that strength and that empowerment to know that you're a badass. Pretty much.
Teaching people to be a badass and live the life they love.
Yes. I mean, it's not about keeping people codependent. They come to me, but I tell them, like, I want to activate things. I want to empower you, but I don't want you to be dependent on anybody else but yourself.
Which is what you did. Like, and you found
Yeah.
out very quickly, like, you don't have to take life into your own hands and trust yourself and trust the universe is going to provide. That was incredible.
Yes, absolutely. And I think everybody has the strength to do it. Sometimes they have to be reminded of who they are.
Oh, I love that. But I also love how you're helping people heal spiritually and get them unblocked and recharged and refreshed and renewed to go create and be and do the things that they love to do.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I love to work with spirituality and spirit and energies, and teach them how to then apply that for themselves.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, we appreciate you being here and sharing your story and being vulnerable enough to share your story and your path and your journey. We hope our listeners really were able to relate and identify and hopefully have the strength to pull themselves out of an, abusive situation and just take that leap, take that next step, have the faith to do it and trust in themselves. But if not, you can always find Sarah and connect with her. But Sarah, before you go, there are some
Mhm.
questions that we ask all of our guests.
Yeah.
Um, can you share three fundamental pillars that contribute to your well-being?
Yeah, and that's also what I just shared, which is the three pillars that are mind, body, and soul. That's the alignment that will help you to manifest. In case the audience is interested in manifesting, the three planes must be aligned, which means that you have to feel good. You have to master your energy completely to be able to channel it and manifest what you desire. It's the master of your energy. So that is the principles of becoming intuitive. So having a strong foundation and then learning how to process your emotions and connect to a higher power, whatever you call it,
Hmm.
as long as you trust in a higher power. Yeah.
Beautiful. Where can our listeners connect with you? And I do believe that you gave them a beautiful discount. We'll also share in the show notes, but how can our listeners connect with you?
Yeah. So they can connect through Instagram, the fastest way at love.holistic.living. Yeah.
Holistic healing. That's awesome. Thank you, Sarah, for
Awesome.
being on the show. We really appreciate you sharing your story and appreciate the work you're doing for the community, especially our teachers. I love that. It's nice.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Thanks so much for listening. This has been Sophia Unfiltered, a podcast by Sophia Health, the #1 marketplace for health and wellness. Find services, classes, and products from the top health and wellness providers. Book an appointment or join live classes now. I'm your host, Riley Rees. If this episode resonated with you, we'd love to hear about it in the comments section of your favorite podcast provider or with a 5-star rating. Let us know what your biggest takeaway from this episode was, or share it with someone you hope to inspire. Join us again next time for more real conversations, stories, and insights that help empower you with the knowledge and inspiration needed to transform how we care for ourselves.